In the discussion of the elements of the state, we are about to get into the element of territory. No? But before that, we must understand some concepts. For instance, the concept of sovereignty, which is an element of the state. Sovereignty is different from jurisdiction because we exercise sovereignty and jurisdiction within our territory. You know, so when you speak of sovereignty, it is the power to assert for a state to assert itself within its territory and to enter into relations with foreign states. While jurisdiction is it refers to um, the authority of the state to well, if it's for the court to hear certain cases within its legal competence. But for a state, jurisdiction means the extent of its authority, no, in the assertion of its sovereignty. Read the case of Sagisag versus Executive Secretary. You know, um, well, for example, while we may have sovereignty all throughout our territory, there may be areas which are outside of our jurisdiction because we surrendered them by treaty. Speak, for instance, of our jurisdictional limits of our law. For example, during the past existence of the U.S. military bases in the Philippines. No? So, when you speak of jurisdiction, it is the manifestation of sovereignty. Um, Jurisdiction is the state of the state is understood as both the authority and the sphere of the exercise of its authority. Speak of jurisdiction. This may be territorial, personal, or extraterritorial jurisdiction. When you speak of territorial jurisdiction, well, you have as an example um, the um, the idea, well, of the coverage of our laws, no, for every person who is found within the limits of government, whether for temporary purposes or a resident, you are bound by our laws. No? This is exclusive and absolute, meaning we can assert our law within our territory to the exclusion of the influence of the laws of other nations. We cannot we cannot allow other the laws of other nations, other states, to cover, as far as we are concerned, the individuals within our territory. It may be generally it may be recognized as a binding within their territory, but for us, generally no. So our laws within our territory. Speak of personal jurisdiction. This is the authority of the state over its nationals, their persons or property and acts, whether within or outside the territory. We have the concept of the nationality theory. Individual, independently, whether they of the independent of their being here outside the country, you are still covered by the law. An example is Article 15, laws relate of the Civil Code, laws relating to the family rights, duties of the state. Sorry, laws relating to the family rights, duties, or to the status, condition, and legal capacity of persons are binding upon citizens of the Philippines, even though they are living abroad. In your persons and family relations, you remember that family laws, not like successional laws, uh, continue to follow you wherever you go. That's personal jurisdiction. On the other hand, extraterritorial jurisdiction is that concept where your our laws um, are exercised over persons and things, no objects outside our territorial limits. We have Article 2 of the Revised Penal Code referring to the execution, the effectivity of laws when the acts committed fall into within or under the instances found in Article 2. When you commit an offense while in a Philippine ship, no, you should forge or counterfeit any of our currency or cause the entry of such counterfeit within our territory, no, and others. we have extraterritorial jurisdiction over such offenses or felonies. So, um, you in the understanding of territory, jurisdiction, and sovereignty, we take into consideration that there are provisions in the Constitution that they must be considered, no, or emphasized. Among them is when we enter into treaties, because the agreements involving military bases, troops, or facilities shall only be allowed in the Philippines according to law under a treaty concurred by the Senate and when Congress requires, when it is submitted to the people. And what is important here is that our treaty must also be treated as a treaty by the other contracting parties, no? Because this treaty might surrender part of our jurisdiction over certain matters committed or done within foreign military bases, like our recent history has taught us. No? You read this case of Nicolas versus Romulo. This case of Nicolas versus Romulo is an example where there was a question as to the effectivity of a treaty in the Philippines. Though that's not the main issue. No? The main issue here is on the legality, the constitutionality, or the appropriateness of the custody, no, of the U.S. over this serviceman, the U.S. serviceman, si Lance Corporal Smith, who raped a Filipina. He was convicted by the Philippine courts, was by some agreement entered into by the Philippines and the U.S. Was arrested. Was taken by the U.S. from the Philippine prison to an American facility for detention. No? Question in this case is on the matter of the propriety of the American custody of this convicted officer of the U.S. Military officer. But you read this case because it discusses the effects of the lack of consideration of a treaty in the U.S. of the same treaty that we hold as a treaty, its implications, and we learn from that experience. So the first element of a territory of a state is territory. What is the extent of our national territory? Article 1 says it. The national territory comprises the Philippine archipelago with all the islands and waters embraced therein, and all other territories over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction, consisting of its territorial, fluvial, and aerial domains, including its territorial sea, seabed and subsoil, insular shelves, and other submarine areas, the waters around, between, and connecting the islands of the archipelago, regardless of their breadth and dimension, form part of the internal waters of the Philippines. So practically, if you look at the law, we can actually summarize what consists the national territory. We have the Philippine archipelago, all territories over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction, and its internal waters. So let's try to understand the extent of our national territory. First one is the national archipelago. Our national archipelago, our Philippine archipelago, has been well, you have to understand why we have such archipelagic limits, no? Because we remember that under the Spanish time, before we were made into republic, we went in through the stage of we were Commonwealth of the U.S. Subsequent to the purchase of the U.S. or entry of its treaty with Spain for the transfer of authority or jurisdiction over the Philippines from the mother Spain to the Philippines, to the U.S. No, so we have several treaties on that. To determine the extent of our archipelago, there must be established a baseline. But what is the baseline? The baseline determines our internal waters and also determines the 200 nautical miles exclusive economic zone. But how do we determine the baselines? This is also taken in succeeding slides. But etong baselines kasi encloses our archipelago. The baseline encloses our archipelago because what is an archipelago? An archipelago is in jurisprudence recognized as the body of water studded with islands or a group of islands surrounded by water. That's the archipelagic doctrine. We need to consider that this is a single unit, no? The body of water together with the islands as a single unit because we must follow this archipelagic doctrine because without this doctrine, our economy and security will be threatened. Because if we do not take the body of water and the islands as one single unit, it would be easy for foreign vessels to cross our archipelagos, which may prejudice our safety and national security. They may be carrying with them radioactive materials, or they may exploit the resources in between the islands. No, that's why it's taken as one single unit, so that before they enter into the Philippine archipelago, prior permission of authority must be given them by the state. So the archipelagic doctrine considers the islands and the waters as one single unit to enclose the Philippine territory, into one single unit. So how do you now enclose this baseline? No? How do you now enclose the archipelago through the use of its baselines? No? Well, law created for it, no? RA 3049 in 1961, which demarcates the maritime baselines of the Philippines. So this says that it is the baselines are determined by drawing straight lines joining the appropriate outermost points, appropriate points in the outermost islands of the archipelago, so that all the waters within the baselines are considered as our internal waters. This is how it looks like. So first we have this archipelago, no? We determine the outermost islands and the specific points on those outer islands. Then we draw straight lines connecting each point. Thus, it magnifies the archipelago as a single unit, as in the archipelagic doctrine. Within the baseline, we call that the internal waters. Okay. So eventually, we had also RA 5446 that corrected the typographical errors in the earlier law, and subsequently RA 9522, which corrected the demarcations of the baselines to include also our claimed territories, no, which has their own regime of islands, no. Essential that they also have their own baselines, so that we could also protect them and their integrity and our exclusive economic zones. So right now with RA 9522, there's a shortening of one baseline. There are adjustments made. There is the regime of islands to enclose the Kalayaan group of islands, no. This strengthens our claim to these territories, no. We need to do this to protect our security and our claims to the exclusive economic zone, which we shall be discussing more later on. So adjustments were made lang, no. This is to comply with the UNCLOS, because the old determination of the baseline were not fully compliant with the United Nations Convention on the Laws of the Seas, or the UNCLOS. So let's go first. Describe the territory within the archipelago. You have the territorial sea, seabed, subsoil, insular shelves, and other submarine areas. First, what is the territorial sea? This is 12 nautical miles from the baseline. So if you have the baseline, you have outermost points, 12 nautical miles. That's our territorial sea from the baseline, the outermost part of the island. Then we have the subsoil. The subsoil, or sorry, the seabed is the bottom of the sea. No, the seabed is the bottom of the sea. We have the subsoil. Anything found under the soil, that's the subsoil. No? We have the insular shelves, parts of the islands that remain underwater. It's also known as the intercontinental shelf, which may extend beyond the 12 nautical miles for as long as it is not more than 300 feet deep. And you have also other submarine areas, no? um, under the territorial sea. Now, what about airspace? Uh, what about airspace? The sovereignty extends to the space above the archipelagic water as well as the seabed and subsoil and the resources contained. We have effective territorial control over our airspace, but not outer space, perhaps, because that is governed by international law. Um, your international law professor may, or experts may discuss more on what outer space as a territory is for all. So, second, in our description of our territory is that part of our territory is such other territories over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction. You have the Kalayaan group of islands. No? You have the our claim to Eastern Sabah. We have the Scarborough Shoal. No? We have the Benham Rise. The Benham Rise is not actually territorial in character, no, part of our territory. Well, we have sovereign rights. Well, we have sovereign rights. We do not have sovereignty over the Benham Rise because it went beyond the 12 nautical miles consisting of our territorial sea. So what is the exclusive economic zone? No? The exclusive economic zone, as I mentioned in our constitution, the state shall protect all the nation's marine wealth in its archipelagic waters, territorial sea, exclusive economic zone, and reserve its use and enjoyment exclusively to Filipino citizens. The mention in the constitution requires us really to protect our exclusive economic zone, even from China, because it is what our constitution tells us. No? A president who bastardizes or gets to protect our EEZ violates the constitution. It is a betrayal of the constitution. Constitution provides for it. No? So PD 1599 established for the Philippines our exclusive economic zone. No? Distance of 200 nautical miles from the baselines. That's part of our exclusive economic zone. What is the purpose of the exclusive economic zone? We have the following freedoms within our EZZ. Exploration and exploitation of the resources within the 200 nautical miles after the territorial sea. Economic exploitation and exploration of resources. Exclusive rights to the establishment of and utilization of artificial islands. Such other rights as are recognized in international law. So it's more of economic in character. Economic in character. That's why other states are prohibited to encroach our EEZ for economic exploitation or use. No, they cannot exploit our resources. They cannot do research unless we give them permission or excavation. They cannot conduct research unless we permit them. Conduct or maintain or operate artificial islands like what China is doing. No, performing any act or engage in any activity which is contrary to or in derogation of the sovereign rights and jurisdiction. So we have sovereign rights, not sovereignty, over the exclusive economic zone. The sovereign right to exploit, explore, make use of the resources of that 200 nautical miles EEZ after the 12 nautical, which includes the 12 nautical mile, sorry, which includes the 12 nautical mile. So within the exclusive economic zone, other states shall enjoy, therefore, the following. navigation and overflight, laying of submarine cables and pipelines, and internationally lawful uses and of the sea relating to navigation and communications. In case of overlapping exclusive economic zone, the common boundaries are to be determined by agreement or international rules on the limitations, like what we have been doing with China. So in 1982, we had the UNCLOS by international established the 200 nautical miles from the baseline. So this actually includes um, the 12 nautical mile, but within the first 12 nautical miles, that's part of our national territory. But in UNCLOS, our exclusive economic zone begins from the not from uh, the baseline. No? Uh, this is the case of Arrigo versus Swift, saying that the U.S. is not part of the UNCLOS, no, but because it is our close ally, it must respect its provisions because of the concept of international responsibility. The U.S. cannot escape the liabilities of the UNCLOS simply by saying it is not signatory to it. Well, it's a Supreme Court decision. This has got to do with the incident when a U.S. vessel went aground in a Philippine territory, which put the body of water in danger of um, oil leak, no? Oil spill. Bayan Muna versus Arroyo. Well, this has got to do with the case of permitting joint venture for some portions of our exclusive economic zone. No? So petitioners here challenge the constitutionality of the JMSU. So it's the Joint Marine Seismic Undertaking. The signatories of this were, aside from the Philippines, through the PNOC, the China National Offshore Oil Corporation and Vietnam Oil and Gas Corporations. No? But our constitution says that in the exploration, development, and utilization of our natural resources, they shall be under the full control and supervision of the state. And the state may directly undertake such activities or it may enter into co-production, joint venture, or production sharing agreements. Walang problema. Walang problema with that. The problem is this JMSU stipulates that the parties have equal rights. So there is no full control over the exploration by the Philippines. Our maritime zones, note this, our maritime zones. First, we have the waters inside our baselines as our internal waters. And then we have the 12 nautical mile from the baseline. That's the territorial sea. That's part of our territory. Then we have the contiguous zone. The contiguous zone is 12 nautical miles from our territorial sea. It is not part of our territory, but we can exercise our authority therein for some purposes, including customs, fiscal, immigration, sanitation, and other purposes, no? Security reasons, no? Reasons that may compromise public safety. Baka magtapon ng basura doon, or baka may radioactive materials passing through our contiguous zone, or baka there might be human smuggling, no? Or smuggling per se, or illegal drug-related activities. So, though not part of our territory, in the contiguous zone, we have the authority to enforce our laws, specific laws. Then we have the exclusive economic zone, that's the 200 nautical miles from the baseline, which is for the purpose of economic exploitation and exploration. No? So what is this dispute now relating to the West Philippine Sea? They call it South China Sea, but we call it the West Philippine Sea. This is the territory. This is the dispute between China and the Philippines. No? Actually, there are other players, other nations laying claim over the claimed portions of our exclusive economic zone and territory, along with China. No? So what this is the fight all about? This is a dispute over a BC waterway, where billions of dollars worth of trillions, not billions, passed through it, um, through the West Philippine Sea, and it's ano siya, it's a vast resource of natural resources. Aside from fishes, it could be a source of fuel, no? Marine life and fuel. Um, who are involved in the dispute? You have China, Brunei, Malaysia, Philippines, Taiwan, and Vietnam. The U.S. Actually has it's not a party to the dispute, but it has an interest over the area because it wants it free for the purpose of navigation under UN law. No, so that's the interest of the U.S. No, and in the West Philippine Sea, navigation, perhaps also security. Who knows? No. Um, Also, Japan also is involved itself. No. Um, because of its interest also over the territory. So the governing law affected is the UNCLOS, which again the body of water 200 nautical miles from the baseline, or that's, if you're curious about it, it's 370 kilometers by our convention. So medyo malayo-layo din, no? What is China asserting? China is asserting entitlement to more than 200 of its nautical miles from its baseline because it claims some of its islands were discovered. Some of the islands within the disputed area were um, mapped by ancient sailors, no, years ago, no, thousands of years ago, and therefore, because they have been already claimed as by China as from thousands of years ago, they have territorial rights over the territory, the body of water. That's why they drew the 9-dash line. No? This is dangerous because by drawing the 9-dash line, they claim that a portion of the water as theirs, it would affect the EEZ of other nations, which overlaps with the 9-dash line. So what are these islands or areas? The Paracel Islands is claimed by China and Vietnam. Vietnam said it ruled the islands since the 17th century before China. The Scarborough Shoal, which is claimed by both China and the Philippines, we claim it based on our geographical proximity and history. Okay. Then you have the Spratly Islands, claimed by China, Vietnam, Taiwan, Malaysia, Brunei, and the Philippines. So what's been going on? For decades, they have created artificial islands. They constructed artificial islands. But China is the fastest to make islands. No? The implication kasi of the islands being constructed or made artificially doon sa disputed areas is that by having their islands there and claim it as their territory, it will expand eventually the exclusive economic zones as well. Diba? Philippines, Vietnam, and Taiwan have military presence. We have our ship that we put there. No, it's already aground. No? It's the cause of much chaos right now. No? So China does not acknowledge the UN Convention, and is already exploiting our resources there. That's part of our EEZ. So the dispute has been handled already because in 2016 we won the case under the Permanent Court of Arbitration, which decided that we have the exclusive jurisdiction over the West Philippine Sea. This case was initiated because of an incident in 2013, a standoff between China and the Philippines. That's why we brought it to the Permanent Court for arbitration. What China does is kasi militarize the area with its navy and militia. And until right now, there has been military threshold activities there. No? Mostly the spraying of water cannons. No? So in the permanent court arbitration decision, the tribunal concluded that there is no legal basis for China and for its claim of its basis being historic, no, historical claim, no, historic rights. None of the features claimed by China was capable of generating an exclusive economic zone, and that China indeed violated our rights by harassing our Navy, Coast Guard, and because of their continued exploration and exploitation of our resources. But what can we do? What can we do? China does not recognize the arbitrary ruling. The most that we could do is enter into diplomatic arrangements, diplomatic recourse, or continue to be in dialogue with China. We cannot fight China militarily, realistically speaking, but we do it politically. The US, Vietnam, and Australia and Japan are backing up the Philippines, but Cambodia right now is supporting China's non-acceptance of the award. Our latest incident was yung sa incident on the ship that we had aground there as our artificial island, the Sierra Madre. That's June 17, 2024. Coast Guard harassed our replenishing or resupplying of the troops in the BRP Sierra Madre. They harassed, did not use guns, but they used bladed weapons. When in fact, one of the Coast Guard there lost a finger or a thumb. No? So, thank you for listening. We continue on the next video.